finished supper, the old woman said, "It's a fine moonshiny night, child. Come on with me." They sat themselves down on the back porch steps. After a time, a dozen of rabbits came out of the underbrush and formed a circle in the yard. The men rabbits all had frock-tail coats, and the lady rabbits had little train dresses. They danced, standing on their hind feet, hopping all about. One big rabbit played the piano and banjo, and the old woman honked along with it. Blanche capped time by clapping along. The rabbits did a square dance, a Virginia reel, and even a cakewalk. The girl felt so happy she never wanted to leave. She sat and even clapped until she fell asleep, and the old woman carried her inside and put her to bed. When Blanche got up the next morning, the old woman told her, "Go milk my cow, young child." The girl did what she was told, and the two-headed cow with the curly horns gave her a bucket of the sweetest milk she ever tasted. They had in their morning coffee. "You gotta go home now, child," the old woman said to Blanche, who was washing the breakfast dishes. "But I tell you, things will never be the same from here on out. And since you have a good girl, I got a present for you. Go out to the chicken house, and any eggs that say, 'Take me,' and you go ahead and take. But if you hear any say, 'Don't take me,' you leave them be. When you get near home, throw those eggs one after another your left shoulder, so they break in the road behind you. Then you will get a surprise." When Blanche got to the little chicken house, she found all the nests filled with eggs. Half were gold or silver covered with jewels. Half looked no different from the eggs she got from her chickens back home. All the plain eggs told her, "Take me," and all the fancy ones cried, "Don't take me." She wished she could take just one gold or silver jeweled egg, but she did what the old woman told her and only scooped up the plain ones. She and the old woman waved goodbye to each other. Then Blanche went on her way. Part way home, she began to toss the eggs one at a time over her left shoulder. All sorts of wonderful things spilled out of those eggs. Now diamonds and rubies, now gold and silver coins, now pretty silk dresses and dainty satin shoes. There was even a handsome carriage that grew in a wink from the side of a matchbox, and a fine brown and white pony that sprouted from the sides of a cricket to draw it. Blanche loaded all those lovely things into the carriage and rode the rest of the way home like a grand old lady. When she got home to the cabin, her mother and her sister gawked at her new finery. "Where did you get all those things?" her mother asked, making Rose help Blanche carry the treasures inside. That evening, the mother cooked dinner for the very first time since Blanche was old enough to hold a skillet. All the time telling Blanche what a sweet daughter she was, her mama got the girl to tell about the old woman in the cabin in the woods and the talking eggs. When Blanche was asleep, the mother grabbed Rose and told her, "You gotta go into the woods tomorrow morning and find that old auntie. Then you'll get some of those talking eggs for yourself and for us, so you can have fine dresses and jewels like your sister. So when you get back, I'll chase Blanche off into the woods and keep her things to myself. Then we're going to the city and find ladies we was meant to be. Can't we just run off tonight so I do what I don't have to go poking through the woods looking for some crazy old auntie?" Rosie whined. "There's not near enough for two," her mother said. Getting angry, "You do as I say and don't be so contrary." So the next morning, Rose set out, dragged foot into the woods. She dawned mostly, but soon met the old woman in her raggedy black shawl. "My sweet little sister Blanche told me you got a real pretty house and all," said Rose. "I'd appreciate to see it." "You can come with me if you would mind to see it," said the old woman. "But you got to promise not to laugh at whatever you see." "I swear," said Rose. So the old woman led her through the bramble bushes and trees and branches into the deep woods. But when they got near the cabin and Rose saw the two-headed cow that brayed like a mule and the funny-looking chickens that sang like mockingbirds, she yelled, "If there's ever was a sight like that one, that's the stupidest thing in the world." Then she laughed and laughed until she nearly fell down. Said the old woman, shaking her head. Inside, Rose complained when she was asked to start the fire, and she wound up more smoke than flame. When the old woman gave her an old bone to put in a pot for supper, Rose said crossly, "That's going to make a mighty poor meal." She dropped it in the pot, but the old bone remained the bone, so they only had thin soup for supper. When the old woman gave up her 1 grain of rice and grind at the mortar, Rose said that sad speck won't hardly feed a fly. She wouldn't lift that pestle, so they had no rice at all. Said the old woman. Rose went to bed hungry. All night she heard mice scratching on the floor and screeched owls crawling at the window. In the morning, the old woman told her to milk the cow. Rose did, but she made fun of the two-headed creature, and all she got was a little sour milk, not for drinking. So they had their breakfast coffee without cream. When the old woman lifted her head off her shoulders to brush her hair, crickets and wink, Rose grabbed their head and said, "I'm not going to put you back together till you give me presents like my sister got." "Oh, child, you're a wicked girl," said the old woman's head, "but I got to have my body back, so I'll tell you what to do. Go to the chicken's house and take those eggs that say, 'Take me,' but leave the ones that cry, 'Don't take me.' Then you toss those eggs over your right shoulder when you're on your way home." To be sure, the old woman wasn't playing her a trick. Rose set the old woman's head out on the porch while her body sat groping around the cabin. Then she ran into the chicken house. Inside, all the plain eggs cried, "Take me!" while all the gold and silver and jewel ones said, "Don't take me." "You think I'm a fool enough to listen to you and pass up the prettiest ones? Not on your life." So she grabbed all the gold and silver and jewel eggs that kept yelling, "Don't take me," and she ran off into the woods with them. As soon as she went out of the side of the old woman's cabin, she tossed the eggs over her right shoulder as fast as she could. But out of the shells came clouds of whipped snakes, toads, frogs, yellow jackets, and a big old gray wolf. These began to chase after her like pigs after a pumpkin. Hollering bloody murder, Rose ran all the way to her mother's cabin. When the woman saw the swarm of things chasing her daughter, she tried to rescue her with the broom. But the wasps and the wolf and all the other creatures wouldn't be chased off. So mother and daughter hightailed into the woods with all the animals following. When they returned home, angry and sore and stung and covered with mud, they found Blanche and had gone to the city to live like a grand lady. Though she remained as kind and generous as always, for the rest of their lives, Rose and her mother tried to find a strange old woman cabin and talking eggs, but they never could find that place again.